supposed to be Norman Osborn? Think facts!
Oh, bitch, that hurt!
God damn!
Oh.
Sorry, I didn't know the safety was off.
Well, Iron Man 3!
That hurt just as much as watching Iron Man 3.
Got that right. Well, hello!
Hello everyone! Welcome to another Crazy Crew vlog.
And a happy 4th of May to you, aka Star Wars Day.
Yes, that's why I have my Star Wars shirt today.
And happy Free Comic Book Day to all you comic nerds.
Every first Saturday in May.
Yep, so to celebrate this double holiday, we did the geekiest thing we could think of, which is to watch Iron Man 3.
And boy, did we regret it.
Oh, yeah. Oh boy, where do we begin on this one?
Before we vent our rage, I want to quickly point out that it's still daylight outside.
Oh my God! It burns!
Because it seems like every time when we do these vlogs, like it's always at night. I mean, most of the time it's either in my car or here, and it's always at night, so it's actually nice to actually have a little daylight for once.
Yeah, I'm
yes, we're not vampires.
Well, I am. I mean, I'm for the night, and this is new for me, but hey, I'll roll with it.
So, as for this movie, I have a haiku. A haiku made up of 3 quotes. 2 from the movie, 1 from the Nostalgia Critic, all of which pretty much sum up my thoughts on this movie. What the hell was that? That was really violent, wasn't it? And it's fucking Die Hard!
Should we get into I want to get into the last line, why you mentioned the last line, why it's fucking Die Hard, because oddly enough, even though it's May, the movie takes place during Christmas time.
Yeah.
It opens actually in New Year's Eve 1999 into 2000.
I'm blue, I believe. Seriously,
They opened
the song with Eiffel 65's Blue, and I'm just like, I don't know, that kind of took me out of the movie for a minute, because it's like,
I sing it.
Exactly, it's something I didn't expect, it just kind of distracted me.
This movie has something the first 2 didn't have, which is narration by Tony Stark.
Yeah, really.
And that was weird. Because I'm thinking, okay, wait, suddenly he's telling his story, this previously happened, or what?
Well, I mean, it would have, yes, it is out of place, it would have made more sense if they actually did that from the get-go, but introducing it 3 movies in is, like,
well, the whole thing starts with 3 of the Iron Man suits exploding. More nerd rage.
This reminds me of those movies that open up with, this is the story of how I died. And then it's like, oh, it didn't die anyway. So that's what, like, as soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh, great. We're gonna get a fake out at some point.
Well, like Sunset Boulevard or something?
Something like that. I mean, I'm thinking of Tangled. Like, it opens up with a guy saying, this is the story of how I died.
Or Megamind, where he's falling from the...
Yeah, it's like,
pretty much every cliche.
Well, here I am, falling to my death.
Probably wondering how I got here. It all started way back a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Actually, it all started back in 1999. And
on the eve of 2000.
Yes, it's one of those movies. Let's put it that way. So, yeah, it starts in the past, but then of course it gets to the present. Everything from the Avengers has happened. And, Tony is now, has reached a new level of crazy.
By crazy, I mean post-traumatic stress.
Yeah, apparently everything that happened in the Avengers, like, really shook him up bad. Like, he's actually having anxiety attacks now, which I don't really get. Because, I mean, the guy's a superhero. He's used to going up like up against bad guys and stuff, he's used to staring death in the face, but then as soon as somebody mentions New York, he's
or
like...
the wormhole.
I think part of it, I think, could be the fact that it's like, oh my god, there's aliens! Even though I've seen dozens of movies where people see aliens and none of them end up, like, suffering from post-traumatic stress or whatever.
But yeah, they keep harping on this.
And the fact, that he almost died in the end of the Avengers.
Yeah. And yet, it doesn't pay off at all.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing at all comes out of it. Except for the fact that he can't sleep.
Also,
That's all.
They never really touch upon it, like, later on in the movie, about his anxiety attacks. Nope. Like, they only do it, like, maybe 3 times, and that's about it.
Yeah. And so, yeah, in the midst of all this, there's a bunch of terrorist attacks going on, orchestrated by the Mandarin.
And he's not an orange. I'm sorry. That was a bad pun. But, I mean, it's the Mandarin. They're portraying him as this, like, Osama bin Laden type, terrorist and a leader of this big, like, I don't want to say terrorist organization, but he's this big terrorist trying to, destroy America, how corrupt America is,
Right.
down with the Western civilization and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, at first I thought they were referencing, like, the very first bad guy in the comics, like the origins of Iron Man, where he goes up against, like, a Chinese mobster named, was it Wayne Chu or something? Mm-hmm. I thought it was going to be like that. They were referencing the original comic, but they updated him to a more modern terrorist.
Mm. But the Mandarin's supposed to be, like, one of Tony Stark's or Iron Man's arch nemesis, isn't he?
I guess.
I believe he is.
I believe so, too.
I remember seeing him in, like, the Iron Man animated series, but in any case...
we Iron Man fans comment. Let us know.
Yeah, let us know.
Yeah.
Though I better say this right now, I don't like Iron Man. I will get more into depth into that later.
Yeah,
I do not like Iron Man.
You never liked the first 2.
I didn't like the first 2, but I at least had some semblance of fun and enjoyment for them. This one was different. But like I said, I will save that for later.
Me personally, I like Iron Man. Like, he's my favorite of the Avengers, just because he has the most personality, the most character to him and everything. And again, he's one of those people that, he's an asshole and you're supposed to hate him, but you can't help but like him just because of, like, how funny and smart and charismatic he is. Like, it's that whole big bad boy thing. So,
Iron Man, Tony Stark does come off as a bit of a douchebag, but I feel like the only reason why he gets away with a lot of the stuff is that they try to pass him off with some funny moments. Some, like, funny, sarcastic moments that makes him, somewhat likable. Mm-hmm. And I remember in the theater, watching that, and the audience, was laughing at all the right bits, and there was definitely a lot more comedy in this one than in the previous 2. So I guess that because it's like, he's such an asshole, but but he's being so funny. Ha 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 ha. How could we not hate this guy? And that's what I kind of feel with this character. And I'm going to say this right now. As far as character development, I feel like with every Iron Man movie, not counting the Avengers, with every Iron Man movie, it feels like he has to learn the same lesson over and over again.
yeah.
Like, basically, and that lesson is that stop being a douchebag. Stop being a douchebag. It's totally going to backfire.
I don't know if it's so much being a douchebag.
And he doesn't learn that lesson.
I don't know if it's so much stop being a douchebag as, he does help people ultimately. I think it's more, be more humble about it. But he has, like, such a gigantic ego, he just can't help himself.
I know, but he doesn't, and then he has to relearn that lesson in, like, every Iron Man movie.
Well, he always reaches a different level of egotism. Like, in the first one, it was flat out, I'm the best shit in the world, nobody can compare to me. Then the second one was, yeah, I'm gonna die, so, I'm gonna go out in a blaze of glory. And then the third one was, like, I don't even know what the third one was, honestly.
Third one was, like...
I'm too good to be Iron... Like, I'm not good enough to be Iron Man, so I'm gonna,
But I secretly have issues, and I can't sleep at night, and there's people trying to my Iron Man suit is destroyed. What am I in the end? I fix things, I guess.
Now
he fixes things.
Now
he fixes things because he's fucked up
compulsive.
Kind of
fucked
where
up
we
in
need
the
to
first
get
two movies.
to the other characters' storylines, if they so can be called, because he's busy fixing things. Pepper Potts is getting to feel a little neglected and a little upset with him, especially the fact that he doesn't spend as much time with her, or if he does, he's not actually there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that leads to one of the big issues that I have with this movie. They've made it now so that Tony Stark can actually control the Iron Man suit without actually being in it. Like, I assume he must have, like, worked on the design that Whiplash made for the drones in the second one. That way he can, like, control his suit at, like, a safe distance so he didn't have to, like, needlessly endanger himself. But that just... I feel like that's wrong, because he kept reiterating the fact in the second one that he and the suit are one. He is Iron Man. That is all him doing that stuff, but now it's not really him. Like, he's not the one putting himself in danger. He's just sending a drone and just controlling it at a safe distance.
And a lot of times it's not even him controlling it, it's Jarvis.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, that would be fine if he had, like, a really bad crippling injury and he couldn't physically be in the suit, but he does it, I think, more out of, like, cowardice than anything, due to his post-traumatic stress.
And that's what I think is going to piss off a lot of Iron Man fans, is the fact it's Iron Man, but he's not in the suit. But we still have the Iron Man suit.
Oh, we're going to talk about the
suit.
We're going to talk about the suit.
Or many suits.
Especially the Iron Patriot.
It's War Machine.
Yeah. So yeah, War Machine.
Iron Patriot.
War Machine becomes relabels himself the Iron Patriot, and he's now working for the government and this thing AIM.
And frankly, in my opinion, it's kind of stupid that they redid him the way they did, because War Machine looks so cool in the second one. Like, he had his own look. He actually looked more buff than the other Iron Man. And, like... He had
all silver, and he had the gun sticking out.
Like, he looked intimidating. And then you look at Iron Patriot, and he's basically a Captain Americanized version of Iron Man.
Well, I'll go into a little bit of detail of that. I won't get too far into it, especially because I don't quite remember all the details. But as I said earlier, as we mentioned in the little prologue we did, the Iron Patriot was originally supposed to be Norman Osborn in the comics. And he's part of, like, this anti-Avengers league. And then I think he becomes his own thing later on. But basically...
I think it's something like... he becomes, like, the Dark Avengers, something like that.
Yeah, basically, all these guys, they're coming up to be the anti-Avengers, and that's really as much as I can remember. But the point is that the Iron Patriot was supposed to be something different, but I have not completely read all of the comics, so I could be wrong. But in any case, that's really all you need to know. That the Iron Patriot was originally supposed to be something different, something to mimic Iron Man and Captain America, but to be their arch nemesis, I guess.
And honestly, like, I really don't see the point in him getting a makeover, because it didn't add anything to his character. It didn't add anything to the superhero.
It's just a paint job.
Pretty much. It's pretty much the U.S.'s way of saying, we're number one, we're number one.
And continuing to,
launching a new brand of toys. Pretty much.
When I was watching this, it kind of seemed like they were kind of doing the same setup with Iron Man 2, where they have this corporate business guy who's one of Stark's competitors trying to knock Tony Stark down a peg, while still at the same time also funding the main villain, terrorist, whatever. That's what it seemed like with Iron Man 3, like the exact same thing, where it's like, and I'm like, okay, I can see that, because I kind of liked that formula a little bit in Iron Man 2. One of the reasons why I kind of liked Iron Man 2 a little bit better than Iron Man 1 because of that. I know it sounds weird, and I know I'm kind of a minority in this, because a lot of people didn't like Iron Man 2. But I kind of like how that play on it. It's kind of like having that two villains set up.
True.
But here, I mean, this guy, like, the Guy Pearce's character, I thought about this, he's basically Syndrome from The Incredibles.
Pretty much.
Seriously, he's the guy who
started off as like
who's
the
like
Hissan.
He's the whole, I'm your number one fan, can you help me with your research? And then he gets shafted by Tony Stark, and he spends the rest of his life trying to get revenge on Tony Stark. And,
or does he, though?
Well, yes and no.
Yeah,
He blows up his house, so I
He basically goes crazy because
that's a provoked attack, though, and I'll get into that in my rant.
But then he spends his entire life just like trying to be better than trying to be like so fixated on like revenge, and it just fuels the rest of his. And Syndrome he just goes crazy over it. And that's the one thing I realized, like, that's just kind of weak. That's just kind of lame after a while. It's like, yeah, you're so fixated on this. It's like, really?
Yeah, like, he's kind of like that nerd in high school, the one that either nobody paid attention to or constantly picked on, and he basically makes it his life mission to get back at those who, never saw his greatness. So it's basically a high school grudge that he harbors, and that's his whole reason for evil. Mm-hmm. It is so weak. It is so incredibly weak, especially considering that this guy, like, already had good ideas, and, if picked up by the right company, he could sell it, merchandise it, and become a billionaire, and obviously that's what he became. Like, it would have happened regardless of whether Tony denied him or not.
How come he didn't get picked up by, Hammer in Iron Man 2? How come he didn't go to work for Hammer in Iron Man 2? Because they would have picked him up immediately, knowing that it was going to be weaponized anyway.
Yeah, it's just... plot hole.
And then there's Happy.
I know where this is going.
Don't get it. I maybe I missed him in Iron Man 2 or something.
He was a bodyguard, right? The one who, like, ran into Whiplash multiple times.
Yeah.
He was with Black Widow.
Yeah.
Punched out that guy.
Yep, same guy.
So he gets like a promotion to head of security or something.
Yeah, which means he's being like over paranoid about everything.
Which also goes completely nowhere because he eventually just gets injured and gets sidelined.
He ends up being right.
Yeah, he becomes sort of a plot device, and in a completely bullshit scene. We need to spell this out. The people in AIM. That they created this thing that it makes these people like have fire inside them.
It's like this healing serum.
Yeah.
It like recreates cells, but in doing so, it causes their body temperature to rise to like lava-esque levels, and basically, if they have to keep administering it to themselves in order to keep the healing process going. But if they inject themselves too much, they explode. And that is what happens
with this one guy at the Grauman's Theater. Oh, that whole Chinese thing was stupid, but I'm not even. It's not even worth going into.
I'll go on.
Yeah, it's not even worth going into.
Okay.
But yeah, basically, there's an explosion at the Grauman's Theater, and Happy has tracked these two guys that he's suspected of being in league with what's his name, the guy from AIM. In any case, this one guy who is getting the injection, he takes too much and he explodes. And his explosion is supposed to, like, vaporize everybody within a 3-foot radius.
It's basically like the power of the sun, like a flare, and suddenly, like, everything within a certain mile radius. Yeah, it's just dust. There's nothing.
Yes.
Yet,
when he explodes, Happy is very close to him. Like, maybe 12 feet away at most?
Yeah.
And so, like, the explosion goes off, you see a bunch of people get vaporized who are even farther away from him.
Some even get thrown back.
Yeah, some get thrown back, and there's all this damage and wreckage, and somehow, not only does Happy live, but his body's, like, fucking intact!
Aside from a few cuts.
It might as well be intact! Ugh.
It's like he got get attacked by a cat.
He
That's
might-
what he looks like.
You know what? He might as well be hiding in the refrigerator.
But so
It's the new
basically,
fridge moment.
the whole reason for him being left behind is so that A, he can identify something, and B, be a plot for revenge. And I'm going to rant about that later.
Oh yeah, this leads to another stupid part. After Happy's put in the hospital, and Tony makes it his mission to find out what happened and who's behind this and everything. Instead of doing detective work, going to the scene of the crime, searching for clues, checking security cameras and stuff. He does check security cameras, but he uses it to create a virtual map of the area, which somehow is able to pick up every single tiny detail.
That kind of bothered me too.
I've seen it before.
Really?
I've seen it done before.
Including this one little dog tag, that Happy happened to be pointing at when he was found. And it even spells out the guy's name on it.
It's really? It's
cameras are not that powerful.
Are they really that well?
People need glasses just
given
to
that
read.
they're in the given that this is the same universe where Tony Stark has all these advanced all this he's super advanced
yeah, but
smart,
even that's a little far fetched. Because I mean,
Google, it's like Google can't touch this shit. Just moving around stuff in the air,
No, if it was his personal technology, I could believe it. Because he can make stuff like that.
Yeah.
But these were security cameras that, are just planted around Hollywood. Simple traffic cams and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So naturally, they may be of good quality, but they're not going to be of they're not going to be able to zoom in on the face of a nickel. They're not that good. There's no way he would have been able to see the print on the dog tag. It is freaking impossible. Like I said, I can't even read that unless I have glasses on. So,
But let's suspend our disbelief and imagine that all this can work correctly. So Tony Stark has figured out that, these two names, and he figures out who it leads to, and he figures out it's related to the Mandarin. And he's all fucking, you heard Happy, so if you're a man, you come to my house. I'll give you my fucking address. Just come over here. Come at me, bro.
And he does.
Yep. Oh, he does. And we get a visit. We get a visit from somebody.
You get a visit from the
one of his booty calls.
In the beginning of the movie, he's sleeping with this one biologist who basically was
She invented the whole healing property thing to her plants.
Yes. With that whole exploding thing.
Yeah, so she and the guy from AIM are both in cahoots.
Well, that's revealed later.
Yeah.
But she comes over, to help to get Tony Stark. It's like, you gotta help me, and then of course they start attacking, and then the whole place blows up.
And half his house falls into the ocean.
Well, his entire house falls in the ocean eventually, but his whole house falls into the ocean, and that's
his
he almost
machines are
dies.
dies, and then he gets.
But everybody thinks he's dead.
And then his suit flings him all the way to Tennessee.
Oh yeah, because we need to talk about that really quickly. And that,
but they explain it. But it makes sense.
Explain it.
It makes sense though. You can't really argue.
Yeah, you know what happens. It's like he's talking to Jarvis. He's trying to figure out.
Because Jarvis planned it in the corner.
Yeah.
He immediately planned that he was going to go to Tennessee, but then
Tony forgot all about it, and so the suit just automatically takes him there. But it makes sense. The whole point is that he's supposed to find out about this guy who there was a similar blast that this guy was. It was supposed to be unrelated to the Mandarin's attacks, and it was supposed to have made this guy aided in this guy's suicide.
Mm-hmm. It's basically he looked up a series of unexplained bombings that occurred around the country, and he happened to pick this one bombing that happened in Tennessee, which is, basically his whole destination for Act 2. Mm-hmm. And, of course Jarvis takes him there and stuff, but we need to talk about the bombing scene and what happens during it. Before that, though, we should explain that in addition to having his suit be able to basically run on its own with him behind the controls elsewhere, he also implanted some magnet things into his skin.
It's more like a memory memory chip, more like memory chips, controls or whatever, which basically allows him to like summon pieces of his suit.
Yeah.
At any given moment, you know, like almost like Harry Potter going Accio firebolts. You know, that's pretty much like he does like a pose and like his hand comes.
Except he doesn't even have to like command it. He just it's there.
It's
pretty much the Accio spell from Harry Potter. But anyways, yeah. So he basically programs his suit to be able to fly to him whenever he summons it. And this is supposed to only be able to go to him, so that way nobody else gets a hold of the suits. However, during the bombings, is when the first missile hits, and him, Pepper, and that other woman are thrown back, he summons his suit, but the suit builds itself up around Pepper.
No, he programmed. He ordered it to go to Pepper. He summoned it.
Sure?
I'm pretty sure that happened.
Because the thing is, later on in the movie, he makes it clear that the suits are only like programmed to fit to him.
That was the
or
backups.
Work with him.
No, those are the different suits that he was tinkering with. You know, because he couldn't sleep at night, so he just kept building Iron Man suits. You know, like Linkara makes like plushy Cyberman.
I guess, but even then, he would have put something on her just so they would recognize.
I think that
her.
was just for that specific Iron Suit, and I'm getting completely technical with this, but I mean, I think it's
well, wasn't it also his protocol retard suit in a way?
Yeah,
because
his prototype.
Well, yeah,
right.
That was the whole point of him.
But that's why it worked, because it was just a prototype. So.
I call it the retard suit because it keeps fucking up the whole movie. But basically, yeah, Pepper gets the suit. She's completely covered in the suit, and I knew this would happen because I heard rumors about it.
Mm-hmm.
But
I thought she would battle in the suit.
That was the big thing. That was the big letdown. Is that everyone kept saying, "Oh yeah, Pepper's gonna be in the suit. We're finally gonna see Gwyneth Paltrow in the suit. It's gonna be awesome and stuff." She gets the suit. She's like all startled and everything. Tony tells her, grab the girl and get out of here. She does it. She fucks up the laser thing and ends up blasting both of them through the glass window.
But they're safe.
Right. They land outside amidst the broken glass. And then Tony, after trying to escape his house amidst all, while it's crumbling into the sea, just summons the suit back onto him. It's like...
and he almost drowns.
It's like, what was the point? What was the freaking point? Just so you can confirm people's rumors? Just so Gwyneth Paltrow has like her 5 seconds of being Iron Man? What was the point of that?
But yeah, now...
Then again, what was the point of... Then again...
I mean, they sort of build up to what happens later, as she does use one of his gloves to fight.
That's about it, but like...
But that still doesn't make sense.
How about this? Why is Tony Stark out of the suit for a majority of the movie?
Oh my god, that pissed me off so much.
So,
because that ties into Act 2 very well.
So he gets jettisoned off to Tennessee. And everybody thinks he's dead, because, he was thrown into the water. Everybody assumed that he just drowned or got blown up.
Or crushed.
So, yeah, basically everybody believes that he's dead. But he gets thrown into the fucking nowhere, Tennessee. And so he's out in the snow, and the suit is now malfunctioning because it's too cold, and the battery dies, and basically the suit essentially fails.
Yeah, and he drags the suit over to this one place, to this kid's house.
Oh god, the kid.
Yeah, I fucking hate the kid.
This one's the rant.
Alright, so he meets this kid, because the kid's trying to help, and he gets the kid to help him out, who does anything but help.
And who doesn't seem to know that he's Iron Man.
Despite
he knows he's Iron Man.
He knows he's Iron Man, but he doesn't know he's fucking Tony Stark, even though he hands him a piece of paper that he hands him a newspaper article.
I think he knew it was Tony Stark.
No, he hands him a newspaper article that shows a picture of him, and it says he's missing or dead, presumed dead, and then he asks him, so what's your name? He asks Tony what his name is!
It's like, kid, you know how to use the internet, right?
Okay, done. He knows who Iron Man is. He shows him a newspaper article
That's like
and
knowing
he
who's.
asks him what his fucking name is.
That's like asking. That's like saying, "Oh, hey, it's Superman and Batman. What's your first names?" I mean,
No.
They have secret. That doesn't
They have
work.
secret
They have secret
identity.
identities. Nobody knows who they
But
are.
everybody knows who Tony Stark is.
Everybody knows who fucking Iron Man is.
Everybody knows who Tony Stark is. Once again, I need to get into this in the big rant, but I'm saving that. I'm saving that for my explosion.
And I gotta say, this kid was kind of annoying. Like, again, this kind of falls into, like, the trap that a lot of movies that are trying to, like, appeal to kids tend to do, is that they throw kids in there.
He was kind of our short round.
Yeah, he throws kids, like, you know how certain movies, they throw in a kid just for the sake of appealing to kids and make them feel like, oh, there's someone their age and they can pretend to be them and they can feel like they're part of the story, but then the kid ends up being fucking obnoxious and, is either acts as a hostage or as, just the annoying sidekick.
That can be said with a lot of television shows also.
That too. But the point is, it's not a good thing to have, Like, Phantom Menace is a prime example of this.
Unless it's written properly. There are a few instances where it actually does work. For example, like in the TV series Reboot. I mean, originally they didn't want a kid character in there, but they were obligated by the network because, they need somebody that the kid audience can relate to. But they wrote him as a strong character. And that's how... And you can have kid characters in your movie or your show as long as they're strong enough. As long as they're strong...
Right.
Supporting characters.
I mean, it's okay to give them kid traits like they get impatient, or they can't resist certain things. They don't have the stamina that the heroes do.
Hit Girl from Kick-Ass.
Right. Like
that's another
weaknesses
strong
like
character.
that.
But this kid won't shut the fuck up.
Oh yeah.
Especially when he's like, wait, I mentioned New York. Wait, about the wormhole. It's just like adding.
And he won't stop. Yeah, I need to talk about this.
Go ahead.
I really need to.
Go ahead. Let it out, Doug.
Yeah.
Let it out.
No, this isn't the explosion yet. But this had me. They go to, he gets taken to the site where the guy blew himself up. And, he took 5 people with him. And... So Tony's exploring the site, looking for clues, and the kid's sort of telling him a little bit about it. But then he starts talking about all this crap, like, I saw a crater. You know what that reminds me of? And then he's like, just shut up. It's like, well, what happened in the wormhole? Just knock it off, kid. It's like, what happened in New York? And he keeps going, and he keeps going, and he keeps going, and Tony has one of his anxiety attacks, and he's like, God! And he walks off. And then the kid goes over to him and he's like, what the hell was that? My first quote. And to be funny, a funny thing happened. I was thinking that exact same quote 5 seconds before he said it. And from that point on, I was just angry and confused and I wanted to leave the theater. I wanted to get up and walk out and say, I'm done. But I'm like, no. I have to stay for the vlog. I must endure.
The people must know.
I must see how much more stupider this can get.
The whole time, I'm checking my phone to check the time. I'm fidgeting in my seat. I'm like, when is this fucking thing gonna be over?
I think I did see you at one point. You were sitting next to me, checking your phone. I'm just like, oh geez, here we go.
I'm like, when you have to check your phone to check the time, there's only 2 reasons that you should be doing it. 1 is that you have somewhere to be and you need to check how much longer there is. And 2 is when you're not fucking enjoying the film!
Good night, Doug.
Wait, did I just fall asleep?
No. Now you passed out, sort of.
So yeah, point being, don't put kids in Marvel films. Like,
unless you can absolutely pull it off.
Yeah, like, because honestly, adding in kids for the sake of, like, getting kids to come. I mean, that's not why kids come. They want to see the superheroes. They don't want to see other bratty kids like themselves.
They come to see Iron Man. They come to see Iron Man kick ass.
Exactly. Nobody gives a shit about the other characters. They want to see Iron Man. And by the way, they don't show that much of Iron Man. They really don't.
Because when you get into because by the time you get to the second act of the movie,
the suit's kind of
busted.
Yeah,
the suit's busted. There's nothing. So he basically wanders around, just by himself, and even he goes around. He talks to this the soldier's mother, who is actually one of the one of the cast members from True Blood that I just happen to recognize. She plays the werewolf grandmother in True Blood. But that's beside the point.
Yeah. Here he gets ambushed by...
He gets ambushed by, the...
I want to call them metahumans at this point.
I call them lava men.
That works better. So he gets attacked by the lava men, and he battles them out, without the Iron Man suit. This is all without the Iron Man suit.
Most of it's without the Iron Man suit.
He beats them up, and, he rescues the kid, whatever. And then he has to drive off, and he's driving off to... He finds out where he has to go, and he's driving off somewhere, and he finds out from the kid that it's in Miami or whatever. So he has to drive all the way to Miami to stop the Mandarin, because that's where his broadcasts are. And then I want to go. I think Is this the explosion?
No, but
I want to go into this rant though.
This is how I'm gonna have myself a little cry.
I need to get into this because this is where I said, because I was saying to you as we were getting out, I'm just like, I've never seen a movie just explode, just
shoot itself in the foot is what you said. Yeah.
Well, just shoot itself in the foot, just blow up, just completely blow itself apart. I mean, I was enjoying Iron Man 3 for the first 10, 15 minutes, and then, I mean, the little kid, but I've seen too many in the movies, but when they get to Miami and they find the Mandarin.
Well, we should also mention, you said, he's having his whole vendetta against, the Americans bastardizing Chinese traditions that they are really American.
Oh yeah,
the whole fortune cookie.
I actually thought that was hilarious.
That was hilarious. This is kind of funny, but sad. Go on.
But should I mention the fortune, or I'll continue?
Yeah, go. You have the floor.
Okay. So he gets to Miami. He finds the Mandarin. But he's an actor.
Played by Ben Kingsley, of all people.
Well, I kind of figured from the trailer it looked like Ben Kingsley, and I mean Ben Kingsley can only pull that off looking like that because he played Gandhi. So no, seriously, that's the only reason why he can pull it off.
I was surprised too.
I was a little surprised, but then again, once you think about it, whatever. But it turns out this Mandarin, this guy is a fucking actor, and I'm sitting there going, all right. I know the Mandarin is one of the big villains in Iron Man. I mean, I don't read the Iron Man comics, I don't follow Iron Man, but I know the significance. And they turn him into a fucking joke.
Oh, boy.
I mean, at least with Whiplash he was real. Right. At least in Iron Man 2, Whiplash was real. He was the smart guy. He had the whole electrical whip thing. That was fine. But this guy, the Manchurian, he's a fucking...
Mandarin.
Manchurian. Whatever, same difference. Not really.
He's a drugged up, sex-crazed, ignorant fool.
Actor.
He doesn't even know that people are actually getting hurt because of what he's doing. He's basically a washed-up actor who the real bad guy recruited and asked him, hey, pretend that you're like a terrorist or something and, read these lines for us and do your very best. Make us actually fear you. And the guy just goes with it because the guy is giving him drugs, he's giving him women, he's giving him a yacht, all this shit.
You giving him this big house.
Didn't he actually shoot a white or blue-collar guy on television even though the president called to stop it like he asked?
Did that guy even die?
No. I think no. No, he mentions, because I think even Tony Stark was like, what happened to that guy? I'm like, oh, pfft. Oh, that was just an act.
Yeah, because, like, it is so baffling, especially because, like, you would think the guy at some point would, like, know what was going on, would hear them talking about stuff, and he claims that he knows absolutely nothing of what is going on, yet he obviously has a television. He's seen watching football or soccer or whatever.
But then again, he does know...
You'd think at some point they would have aired footage that U.S. is being attacked by this guy, and he'd see himself and think, oh, shit, I'm doing something illegal. I should probably stop.
And he's actually...
But he's so fucked up on drugs and alcohol that it doesn't even matter.
Yet he's actually sort of informed of some of the goings-on. Like,
he doesn't care.
But he doesn't care, but he does hear
He only knows
things.
vague details, but doesn't care, like you said. And that's what took me out of this movie, out of the rest of the movie, is the fact that the Manchurian is not...
Mandarin.
Why do I keep saying Manchurian? That the Mandarin...
Orange.
Yeah. That the Mandarin isn't real. It's like... They turn it into a fucking joke. It's like he's not...
Well...
He's not the main fucking villain.
It's like discovering the Wizard of Oz isn't actually a wizard.
Well, no,
honestly... but with the Wizard of Oz, at least with that, the man had good intentions. He was doing it because he was trying to be he was pretending to be something because he kind of liked it. But this is, when you're taking something that's taking a main villain and just turning it into a fucking joke, well, it ruins it.
If there is one redeeming thing I can say, it is that the main villain does declare himself, and I mean, like, outright says, I am the Mandarin.
Even though it's fucking obvious from the beginning.
Yeah.
Even though it wasn't... That's not what we saw in the trailers.
Nope. Like, there is absolutely no surprise with the villains whatsoever, aside from the fact that the Mandarin is an actor. Like, the actor himself. Because, like, you know, right from watching that opening, the New Year's party, you know exactly who is going to turn out to be evil. You just gotta wait and see how they're going to be evil and what part they're going to play in the grand scheme of things. And so pretty much when the guy says, I'm the Mandarin the whole time, it's like, yeah, no shit. Like, it just, like, they could have had some good twist in this, but they ruin it. They ruin all of their twists just by basically showing you what's going to happen before it happens. Like, especially with Pepper.
So we've kind of forgotten about our two characters, Pepper Potts and Don Cheadle's character.
Well, Pepper doesn't really become relevant until the third act.
Same with Iron Patriot.
Exactly.
And he is in that same spot that Tony is in. Eventually. He gets dragged there.
Yeah, he gets dragged there by
deception! Because he was working for AIM!
Dun
Gasp!
Who could have seen that coming?
Yeah! By the way, didn't this already happen in Iron Man 2?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah!
Oh my god. Like, poor Don Cheadle, he gets dicked around so much in these movies. I mean, just the character in general, like, he's such a cool character. He has, like, real upstanding morals. He, he's just as powerful as Iron Man is. But he gets dicked around so much, and it's not fair. Like, case in point, when, like you said, eventually we discover that, yeah, the suit has actually been commissioned by AIM, and then they end up taking it from him after pretty much torturing him out of it. And then he teams up with Tony, and they're going to rescue Pepper and the President, who gets kidnapped.
All without their suits.
All without their suits. And the thing is, like, Tony miraculously summons his other suits, which were shown being destroyed, but now aren't.
But they're in Tennessee. But there's a secret compartment. There's a secret compartment of Iron Man suits.
We're
getting ahead of ourselves.
But basically, he has all of these suits. And, he summons one onto himself, and the guy's like, okay, now hook me up. And he's like, oh, sorry, but they're only,
You don't need a suit.
Yeah, you'll be okay,
I got your back.
And people shooting at you, and So
But-
you'll be okay.
But yeah, basically they torture him out of his Iron Patriot suit, and they use it to try and assassinate the president.
Well, they capture the president.
They capture the president, yeah.
And then they have him hung by the crane thing.
Yeah, he's pretty much his own, like... This is a pretty... I'll admit, this is a pretty cool badass scene when he actually does rescue both the president and his suit from being incinerated. You know, and again, like, pretty much the only way he's able to really, like, get his power back is to basically steal back his own suit. Which, in my opinion, is not very fair. And then once he gets it, that's pretty much it for him.
Yeah, he just whoop, takes the president out.
You don't even
Perfectly
see him
fine.
again after that.
Nope.